Simran Kaur, on behalf of MGM University, extend a warm welcome to this distinguished event we call as Young Minds Meet a Global Mind. This gathering serves a platform to bridge the gap between youthful aspirations and global expertise, fostering an environment of intellectual exchange, inspiration, and innovation. I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed dignitaries, Honorable Chancellor Sri Ankush Rao Kadam sir. He'll be joining us soon. Our distinguished guest, CEO and R&D Head of Grindmaster, Mr. Samir Kelkar sir. Honorable Registrar, MGM University, Dr. Ashish Gadekar sir. Respected Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Dr. H.H. Shinde sir. Director, SOET and Head Central TNP, Dr. Parminder Kaur, ma'am. Sir, your presence today aids an immense value to this gathering. Now, to set the tone for this event, I invite Dr. Parminder Kaur, ma'am, to deliver the opening remarks.
Good afternoon to all of you, respected dais. Mr. Samir Kelkar, CEO and R&D Head, Grindmaster, and author of the book on which we are going to hear from very soon. Dr. Ashish Gadekar, Registrar MGM University, Dr. H.S. Shinde, Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, HOIs, HODs, faculty members, invited guests from Grindmaster, and dear students. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this very special session with Mr. Samir Kelkar, who has authored the book Garage to Global. This book tells us an inspiring story, the journey of Grindmaster, a company founded by his parents, Mr. Milind and Mrs. Mohini Kelkar, right here itself in Aurangabad, and how they had built it from very humble beginnings into a globally competitive engineering enterprise. A little about MGM University, sir, and especially School of Engineering and Technology. We are deeply committed to nurturing not just academic excellence, but also real-world skills that empower our students to thrive in today's fast evolving landscape. Through a wide range of programs across mechanical, computer, civil engineering, robotics and automation, artificial intelligence, data science, cybersecurity, and EVs, we ensure that students gain both breadth and depth in the technical knowledge. Aligned with the vision of National Education Policy 2020, curriculum promotes flexibility, hands-on learning, and interdisciplinary approaches. We strongly focus on skill development, innovation, and entrepreneurship, enabling our students to think like job creators and not just job seekers. Initiatives like live projects, industry partnerships, incubation support, and entrepreneurship cells ensure that students are prepared to take on leadership roles in their careers or even start ventures on their own. Today's event is a reflection of this very approach. A part of our efforts to inculcate a habit of reading and self-learning, a group of students were assigned this task to read the book over past 10 days. And based on their understanding of the book, they have thoughtfully prepared questions to lead today's conversation with Mr. Samir. Garage to Global is not just a book, it's a powerful narrative of vision, perseverance, and transformation. I have read the book, though not completely yet. Authored by Mr. Kelkar, who himself leads Grindmaster today as CEO and R&D head, the book traces the incredible journey of his parents. From starting out in a very small garage in Aurangabad, they dared to dream big and built an enterprise that now competes with global giants in surface finishing and metalwork solutions. Through this book, Mr. Kelkar offers not only a behind-the-scenes look at building a world-class engineering company, but also valuable lessons in leadership, innovation, and resilience. It serves as an inspiration for very aspiring entrepreneurs and engineers, especially for young minds like you who are preparing to shape their careers and future sitting here. However, this is not just for the students only. The session is a wonderful opportunity to all faculty members and the leaders here also, especially those who may not have had the chance to read the book yet, to discover the insights, experiences, and lessons embedded in this inspiring story. By listening to Mr. Kelkar and the student-led questions, everybody will get a glimpse into the challenges of entrepreneurship, the courage to innovate, and the resilience required to build a global business from the ground up. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Kelkar for joining us today and for sharing his experiences with our young minds. I'm confident that this interaction will leave a lasting impact, motivating many of our students to dream big and work tirelessly towards their goals. So let's look forward to an enriching and thought-provoking session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Javed sir to please come forward and introduce our guest.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected dignitaries, teachers, and my dear students. It is my great honor and joy to introduce to you a very special personality. Our guest of honor for today, Mr. Samir Kelkar, the CEO and the Head of Research and Development at Grindmaster Machines Private Limited, right here in Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. Also, he is the Director at EcoSatwa Environmental Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Kelkar is much more than a CEO. He is a dreamer, an innovator, an explorer, and most importantly, an inspiration. His company, Grindmaster Machines, started from a small garage in our own city with a hard work, passion, and big dream. Today, the company exports advanced machines to USA, China, and many European countries. From garage to global, this is not just a book he wrote, but the story of success of Grindmaster and untiring efforts of his parents. He completed his schooling from Nath Valley School, graduated as a silver medalist from IIT Bombay, and completed his post-graduation in robotics from the world-famous University of California, Berkeley. With this kind of world-class education, he could have chosen to live and work anywhere, but he came back to his roots, back to his hometown to build something meaningful, something that not only makes India proud, but also create opportunities for others. He is the creator of RoboFinish, a cutting-edge robotic technology used in finishing products. And he holds more than 15 patents. Under his leadership, Grindmaster has won many prestigious awards. TV9 Dare to Dream a Company of the Year. CII Young and Emerging Leader in Manufacturing. IMTech's Design Award. Global Innovation and Technological Alliance, that is GITA National Award for RoboFinish Development. Lok Satta Tarun Tejankit Award, and many other, including awards for innovation, exports, and design excellence. But what makes Mr. Kelkar truly inspiring is not just a machine he builds. It is the value he lives by. He cares deeply about environment, believes in sustainable innovation, and dreams of empowering people through technology and education. Beyond the world machines, he is a sportsman and the adventurer. He played a cricket for the Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar under the 16 team. Was India's youngest certified umpire at the age of 15 only. Ran the Mumbai full marathon and has completed over 15 Himalayan expeditions. He believes in living here and now and giving 100% to whatever he does. His life teaches us that success is not just about reaching the top, but also about staying grounded, enjoying the journey, and giving back to the society. In his book, Garage to Global, he shares real stories about struggles, sacrifices, family supports, and the courage to keep going when time gets tough. Dear students, today we are not just welcoming a guest, we are welcoming a role model, someone who has turned his passion into purpose and his ideas into impact. Let's learn from the journey, let's be inspired by his courage, and let's remember, if he can do it, so can we, if we dare to dream. With a deep respect and heartfelt gratitude, let's give a big, warm, and round of applause to our guest of honor, Mr. Samir Kelkar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To honor our distinguished guest, I request Honorable Registrar Dr. Ashish Gadekar, sir, to please felicitate Mr. Samir Kelkar, sir. Moving forward, we now have an exciting segment of this event, students team interaction with author Mr. Sameer Kelkar sir. I call upon state student teams Vivek Ingre, Mujtaba, Dia, Sejal, Richa and Hitesh.
Okay, hello, hello, check. Good. Okay, okay, okay.
So, a very good afternoon, everyone. First of all, how are you, sir?
Yes, I'm doing good and happy to be here at happy to be here on this campus of an MGM. Like always happy to be at to be with the to be with the students and having a good chat.
Well, I must say, sir, it's been a pleasure hosting you at our college. As everyone knows, Sameer sir, Javed sir has explained plentiful of him. His journey has been nothing but exceptional, and being read the book, the journey is actually very awe-inspiring from how as the name of the book implies, from garage to global. The achievements of Milind Kelkar sir and Mohini Kelkar ma'am, it has been nothing but truly fascinating from how they built an industry out of a simple garage and making it into a multinational export business. So, yeah, pleasure to have you, sir, here, definitely. Beginning with the session, I'd love to ask, sir, what inspired you to document the story of the grind master in your book, Garage to Global? Was it a personal journey or a message for the next generation?
So let me ask you a question in turn. How many of you like read books? Almost all of you. Okay. How many of you read books apart from the textbooks? Okay, a fewer number. Like how many of you have read a book on, let's say, a doctor's experiences in, say, in an emergency room? उस पे books के ads, movies भी बने हैं, TV series भी बनी है. How many of you have read books on manufacturing industry and the people in the manufacturing industry?
That is rare, sir.
Like it's very rare. So there are hardly like any books that talk about an entire like industry that gives us everything from shoes to the roof to the lights, like to this LED screen, to a lot of things, to cars. So I thought that there like needs to be a book, a literature documents real people in the manufacturing world. Like the company was completing its 40 years, it just completed its 40 years. So I wanted to document the journey of the company also. Like from what I read of the corporate like biographies, I read a few of them. What I realized was that those corporate like biographies were a kind of a time and dates. आपको हिस्ट्री का क्लास आपका शायद एक याद होगा, like 7th standard 8th standard में हमको हिस्ट्री पढ़ाते थे, इस तारीख को ये हुआ, इस तारीख को ये हुआ. So that is the most boring way to tell a story. So I didn't want it to be a corporate like biography which is giving a chronological and order into how things are happening. So that's why I took upon the task to write it as an inside story. Which will have a real experiences of the people. It will have real experiences of my parents. It will have a real experiences of me, like joining the company about 15 years ago. So though I am not an author and I have never written even for a magazine earlier, I did take upon the task to write, to write a book, and here it is.
The book has surely been an awesome read, sir. Like the insights are actually so inspiring. Moving ahead, I'd like to forward to Risha.
So, sir, as you said, that you want to inspire students by your book, as it describes a lot about each and every event that you shared during your whole experience. Your mother, your father shared. So I would like to ask you, how did you decide on the title Garage to Global, and what does it symbolize to you? Why just Garage to Global?
So the 40-year history of the company has been a journey. But in this journey, there is one pivotal moment. And that pivotal moment, as I call it, it changed the future of the company. So I will describe this pivotal moment in a little bit more detail. It is also has been described in the book. So this moment happened in the year 2010. And you can picture a situation. It is in a Chinese company in Shanghai. It's a North American car company that is building its cars in Shanghai, and it's in the conference room of this company. So this company has historically been buying a German machine for the micro finishing of the cranks and cams, for several years. They now have a new line which they are building, and they come out with a specification for that line which the German company is not able to meet. So this is a technological challenge, and whichever a company will meet this technological challenge, it will get that project. So now just imagine a situation ki in this conference room, 15 engineers of this company, which includes Chinese engineers, a couple of the North Americans, they have gathered to hear and see the presentation by a team from India. And this team from India is not having before this a lot of experience in the global car market, And this company has been mainly been making the machines for an Indian context. And walk into the room my father with a duffel bag which weighs about like 15 kilos. Yeah, and this like duffel bag, he keeps it on the table and everybody is very curious to see what is in this heavy duffel bag, and he brings out a wood and metal prototype. Yeah, like no simulations. काफ़ी बार इंजीनियरिंग स्टूडेंट्स एक जिसको एनिमेशन और सिमुलेशन बोलते हैं, वो काफ़ी बार कार्टून्स भी होते हैं. Cartoons because they will work in the computer but they won't work in the real. So this is no like simulation or a presentation, it is the real stuff. Yeah, it's a hard model, a prototype of how this new technology which they have asked for, it will work. So in that like moment, like when he showed that like prototype, जो 15 member team के पास जो its पहले its apprehension थे या जो its concerns थे कि यार ये कौन बंदा इतना एक duffel bag लेके आया है और ये क्या दिखाएगा, so all of those like vanished. Also like whatever the regional or the its cultural differences are, all of those vanished. वो moment में everybody in that room was an engineer. We got the contract for that machine. Subsequently, we built 18 machines for this company over a 10-year period. The German company didn't build any machine for this company once we got that first contract. This company became such a strong reference point for us like worldwide. It didn't like once we had built the machines for this company, we were always like referred to as at par with the German and Japanese technologies. So वो जो एक जो night brand like perception का जो एक issue होता है कि it's an Indian company, how does it compare with the Germans or the Japanese, it completely stopped because we had competed against the Germans on the technology and had won that project. But like, apart from the business that it earned and like we did, the heart of this moment is a change in a mindset. ये pivotal its point में we went from a garage mindset into a global mindset. The garage mindset was where the company had like originated, and that said कि we will make something new, we will make something like innovative. But the global like mindset said that we will make something innovative, we will make it for the world, and we will only make things which will be world class and will be accepted all over the world. So this was the change in mindset, and that's why the title of the book is like reflecting this change in the mindset. The garage is not a place, the garage is a mindset, and the global is also not a place, it is a mindset.
Surely, sir, it symbolizes that garage to global actually means.
Sir, by reading the book, Milind sir and Mohini ma'am's journey is packed with teachable moments, like when Mohini ma'am designed their first buffing machine prototype using just a drawing board and mini drafter at home, or when Milind sir taught himself machine wiring. So sir, what was their light bulb movement where they realized they could actually succeed? And for a student sitting here today, what's the entrepreneurial muscle they built in their garage that we should start developing right now?
See, the times in which they succeeded are very different from the times that students are today. The 1980s economy and the struggles in the 1980s economy is something that वो मतलब लाइक मेरी जनरेशन को ही पता नहीं चलेगा, आपकी जनरेशन तो और लाइक 15 इयर्स लाइक लेटर है। तो लाइक वो टाइम के जो एक स्ट्रगल्स है, वो स्ट्रगल्स भी मैंने ये खुद एक्सपीरियंस किए नहीं है। तो जो मैंने इंटरव्यूज के थ्रू जो मुझे पता चला है, ओके, तो वो 1980s के समय में टू स्टार्ट एन इंजीनियरिंग कंपनी टू बिल्ड लाइक मशीन्स और टू बिल्ड एनीथिंग लाइक मैकेनिकल, it was a lot harder than it is in today's age. There is a lack of an information flow which was in the 1980s. Like you would have read in the book कि 1980s में अगर किसी भी चीज़ का इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर करना है तो एक दिल्ली में किसी एग्जीबिशन को जाना पड़ता था, या एक फॉरेन से कोई बंदा एक पैम्पलेट लेके आया है, वो पैम्पलेट एक तुमको मिल जाता था, तो दैट वाज अ सोर्स ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन. टुडे वी हैव ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन फिंगर टिप्स. However, there are still a few conditions which are very similar for entrepreneurs today, which were similar for entrepreneurs in the 1980s. The key highlighting point of my parents' decision to start the machine tool company was that they wanted to have their own product. So this was a very की फैक्टर फॉर देम कि वो हमारा इट्स प्रोडक्ट हो, मतलब हमारा एक डिज़ाइन हो, हमारा इट्स कॉन्सेप्ट हो, वो हमारा टेक्नोलॉजी हो, एक उसका जो इट्स कस्टमर जो है वो काफ़ी सारे इट्स कस्टमर्स को हम वो ये इट्स प्रोडक्ट बोल के हम एक दे सके. वी विल लाइक डिलीवर इट एट अ प्राइस पॉइंट विच इज़ कंफर्टेबल फॉर अस, लाइक इट शुड द नो हाउ शुड बी विद अस. So like this is a common thing even for an entrepreneurs today. Like I would say that an entrepreneur is a person who will control the how and the what and when and where and the price. So that is like something, if you are like thinking of like beginning a business or beginning a venture, you should give it a thought that are you having the key factors in the business in your control. Only then it will become a successful business.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, in your book also it is mentioned as you are the second generation of this big legacy, this family business. So as being the second generation, how did you balance honoring your parents' legacy while bringing your own leadership style to the company?
So see, in between the generations there is a lot of gap, and this gap also happens because the generation has come into a business, has come into an education in a very different period of time. So typically my parents have gone through the survival struggles which I have never gone through. So I have not experienced a company or that survival struggle in that way. So my like outlook to things is like different. Also the education background, the times are different. You see, it ultimately in any business there must be a mutual respect, and there should be an underlying passion. So in our business, the machine tool business is so deeply technologically involved कि अगर किसी को machines बनाना पसंद नहीं है, वो हमारे business में वो काम नहीं कर सकता. Even when we recruit the campus it's campus say when we are recruiting the students, I say this, ki if you like to build machines, only then come into the machine tool industry. So मेरे लिए एक ऐसा एक like moment आया था when I had never said and my parents had never asked me to join the business. पर like वो moment जब आया तो I realized कि yes, I want to, like I had built a robotic machine when I was in Switzerland, and when that like machine was turned on and it worked, तो आप में से किसने इस machines हाथ से बनाया? How many people have built machines? Like कोई भी machine हो, it may be for a Robocon or a RoboWar or like any of the competitions, like Tiffan वगैरह के लिए, like or maybe for your BTech Kids project or a BE project. Like how many of you have built a machine? We have. Yeah, like some of you have. तो वो machine जब on होता है और जब एक चलता है, how do you feel?
Sir, when a project, I worked on a irrigation system myself. It was a project of mine and my team. And the moment it fired up, like when we receive data, see a machine actually working in those hours of efforts that we put into the product, and it finally works, it really feels like a refreshing wave of satisfaction. Pure satisfaction.
Like that, the way of satisfaction, I call it the machine high. Yeah, वो एक जैसे ना एक runners में हम ना एक runners high बोलते हैं. When we run a 42 kilometer run, we get high. उससे कुछ वो ना biochemistry में क्या होता है that I don't know, but I call it a machine high. So I got that like machine high, and I still get that machine high when a machine that I build is, it comes to life. So in short, I joined the business because I was also getting the machine high, and my parents also are still getting the machine high. So like whatever the differences are in between the generations and the way of thinking, ultimately, if the members have a common passion to build machines, all those other differences, they can be resolved and they can be sorted out. See, it's ultimately every generation has to find a succession plan. Yeah, and the succession plan, the successor is always going to think in a different way. So it's a matter of a discussion. It's a matter of like building a consensus and convincing each other through data, through like science. ये सारे के सारे एक discussions में भी there is one thing which we hold in the family, which ultimately is the decision maker. Yeah, and that a decision maker is the science. So science and an engineering has to prevail over an opinion, whether it be from a junior person or a senior person. So as long as we all have that high respect for science, I think it can work out.
Sure, sir. As your book also says, you got opportunity to work with Japan companies, but by that time I guess you were not prepared, you were not having that mindset. So you didn't choose that company, and after that you received chance to work in Switzerland company, and you chose that chance.
Yes, I think you have like misunderstood what I've written. So in those days I used to have a misunderstanding कि एक Japan एक like बहुत ही industrialized its country है और इसमें बिल्कुल पहाड़ नहीं होंगे. So this was my like misconception. Yeah, and I had an impression कि Switzerland is a very nice country, has some engineering, has lots of like mountains, and I went to Switzerland like mainly because I wanted to do lots of hiking and cycling. Also the language was a problem, because the Japanese is a very hard language to learn as compared to the European languages. And another a big factor was that the Japanese company was a very big company. It was almost 10-15,000 people company, and the Swiss company was a medium scaled company, like and those days it used to be like 300 people. तो इसमें एक काफ़ी एक बड़ा ये difference होता है कि like when you are a single member of a 15,000 people company, तो तुम एक specific activities कर रहे हैं. So आपको ये शायद जो night big picture है वो आपको एक देखने को नहीं मिलता है. You are a cog in the wheel. Whereas in a smaller company, so the company that I joined was a medium scale, so उसमें like systems थे, like but also it was not like so big, so I got individual like projects and responsibilities कि जो शायद वो बड़े company में नहीं मिलते थे. So happy that I took the decision to go to this company.
Sure, sir. Experience does matters, and till when we didn't get opportunity, we don't get experiences also.
So, sir, coming back to the roots, Grindmaster faced multiple crises in its early years, like the radiator trimming challenge, sole plate grinding in Russia, and unexpected material impacts in tube finishing. So, sir, how can students develop the mindset to tackle such engineering challenges? As well, what's the biggest lesson from those early battles?
See, those battles actually, they became opportunities to forge the global partnerships for. So, one of the key learnings from two of those three challenges was that we were building the machine, but the machine is working in a conjunction with a cutting tool. The cutting tool in this case is a coated abrasive belt. Yeah, and we were depending on the coated abrasive belt makers that were found in the country at that point of time. So to finally to solve that challenge, which at that time had become a near zero, it had become a near death situation like for the company. The solution was actually in forming a collaboration with a coated abrasive manufacturer in Germany. So the coated abrasive technology, it went along with the machine technology hand in hand. Yeah, and what the teaching or the learning from that is, it is even more important like today, is that to solve a problem which the customer has or which the manufacturing sector has, only a single company's knowledge and experience is not sufficient. It needs a collaborative thinking. So some of the problem it can be solved by the company. Some of it we need to learn from a knowledge partner. We need to learn from a technical partner. We need to learn from a specialist in that particular field. Fortunately for us, because we faced this kind of a challenge in 1995, 1996, subsequent to that, our thinking has always been in collaborative ways. Collaborating with the technology leaders in their field, in the US, in Japan, in Germany, collaborating with like research like institutions. We are currently developing a couple of the machines with the help from an IIT Madras. So this a collaborative approach and a thinking that you bring like multiple like organizations, each with their own strength, to solve a problem, like was one of the big takeaways out of that near death situation in the 90s.
So, sir, when Mohini ma'am stood before Baba Kalyani with a bold machine proposal, or when the rim polishing machine crashed en route to the client. These were the make or break movements. So, sir, what was their do or die strategy during crises like machine accident or cash crunches?
Fortunately, we have not had a lot of those like incidents in the last like 40 years, but when those incidents, it did happen in the 1992, for example, a big machine for rim polishing, it met with a road accident on the way from here to Chennai, and it like reached there in a damaged condition. Ultimately, I think what we very like firmly like believe is that if we have if we have our customer's interest in our minds, he will take care of our interest and survival. And fortunately, we have met customers also who have done that like over many years. So the first thing that like came to mind is how soon can we restore this machine. Like a similar story to that happened a couple of years ago, which is not like mentioned in the book. We had sent a machine, it was on the ship, it was like going to a customer in South America, and for some reason the container fell off the ship in a storm, and the machine and the whole container sank. So we said, okay, whatever happens with insurance will happen. Yeah, and that will take its own course of time, but what we need to first do is to build a new machine on a war footing. To build it, like literally, we made a machine what is like normally taking a 4 to 5 months period. We built it in say a month, and we were able to send him a fresh machine. So this was kind of a thinking of the customer first, like to making a solution that works. Ultimately, if the manufacturing industry is able to use our machine, like they will take care of us.
Sure, sir. And what are the unsung lessons from their garage that today's startup often miss, be it sourcing from Harsha Deshpande or separating family finances?
Like, see, I think in the garage context, a lot of like entrepreneurs, like especially the ones that are in a partnership also, like, so I see a lot of college friends, they form a partnership. But they don't make a distinction between like themselves and the company. So this is a very important distinction to make, because like though the company or though the startup, it may be a pet project, it may be a passion project, it may be the main thing you do, which like occupies you for 14 hours, 15 hours a day. Yet the company and that a startup is a different entity, and you are a different entity. So separating the finances of the startup with your finances are again like, you know, like something that my parents did at that earlier, at that age, and it's like something that I have also learned over the years and like also do. So you see, the company, it ultimately it grows up into like being its own entity. So today I would say that a grindmaster or any like company or an organization is much like bigger than the founders. Because in a grindmaster, like for example, we have close to 250 people which are working. We have a lot of like stakeholders, its customers, like suppliers, technology partners. So the company is like much bigger than the founders, or the family that is at the helm of the company. So this is like something that we have to keep in mind and like separate the personal matters from the business matters to a certain extent.
Okay, sir. And how did they turn skepticism into an advantage? Like Mohini ma'am impressing Mr. Firodia with her technical skills.
Oh, so like like funny thing was that in the 1989 when that like incident happened, yeah, and when my mom had gone to do a presentation for a technology and award program, yeah, and Mr. Firodia was the judge. He thought that she is from the marketing or from the business development side, and she doesn't really like know the technology. Today we can call it a gender bias, or like like looking at a hindsight, we can say that that was a gender bias. But once she had explained the technology, like she said that I am the designer of the machine, so I am the person to talk to. And once she had explained the design of the machine and gone into its depth, he knew that he was talking with an engineer. So I think like what we have always have like stressed on is that science and engineering has to its prevail. And I mean, for example, like when I talk to a customer or when I talk to a technology partner, like science and engineering is all I have to convince him. So I have to be very strong on that science and engineering and talk sense in order to put forth my view, like which my parents did 40 years ago, and I continue to do it's essentially the same thing.
Thank you, sir.
So first of all, it's an honor to have an interaction with you. So my question is, establishing credibility in international markets is a significant challenge for any growing company. So sir, how did Grindmaster build trust in international markets, and what can students learn about cross-cultural business relationships?
So at least in the manufacturing world, this is a very an uphill task, especially in the technology like sectors. So whether you take the machine tools or you take healthcare like machinery, or you take an agro machinery, it is a challenge, like because the Germans and the Japanese and the North Americans, they hold a very high like reputation, and various like other countries, they don't hold that kind of reputation in this field. So to break through this like challenge or a barrier, if anybody else is like wanting to establish a name in a global market, there is a struggle and there is an extra effort which is required. One of the things I always like say to my team is that if a customer in Japan or Germany is receiving our machine, he should not only be satisfied with it, but he should have that like wow factor. Like that this machine is like much beyond what he was expecting. So this helps in like building that brand. Finally, the technology and engineering and the improvements that you make, they speak for themselves like once the machine has been put into the field. I have an example for this in the story in the book itself. We sold a machine to a German company in Stuttgart in 2018, and in 2018, like when the negotiations of this machine were going on, the director of this company was like saying to me that he has always been buying a German machine, and if he has to buy an Indian machine, he will consider it if it is if it is a lower cost. So in 2018, I didn't have a choice. I wanted to sell a machine into the heart of the German automotive industry. So I told him in these words that, okay, I will sell you the first machine at a lower cost, but once the machine is installed and is commissioned, you will yourself realize that there is no reason to give me a lower cost. So we supplied that machine. It gave a wow factor. In 2020, when the discussion came for a second machine, the same director, he met me again. He said that yes, your machine was much better than it was thought or expected. But you can still improve. You can still improve. So yes, I said okay, I take it as a challenge that my second machine will be far better. The second machine he gave me about 75% of a German. Yeah. So we built the second machine, it generated even more of a wow factor. Then the third machine came in 2023. At that time he said, he started the discussion by saying that we consider you at par with the Germans or even better, and now there is no reason to have a negotiation. So that is a brand, and a trust which we have built with this customer has been built over a 5-year period. Having said that, I must accept that have we been able to build a trust like this with many customers? It's no. With a few customers, it's yes. In the Chinese market, we really have built and have established the trust. But in the developed countries market, in Japan or in Germany or in US or in Canada, it is in small pockets where we have built the brand and we have built the trust. So there it is an uphill journey.
Sir, and adding to that, did building local relationships or adapting product design to regional needs play a key role in earning trust there?
So I have to tell this story both ways. When we started to build machines for an international market, we of course had to make a lot of the product improvements in terms of the reliability, in terms of productivity, in terms of the build standard, the safety standard. So in between 2010, especially from 2010 to 2015, we said that this is what is needed for this international market, and we made all those updates in the products. Of course, this required a lot of engineering, R&D, a lot of development of technology. But then in 2015, we started to wonder, why should Indian manufacturers get a different product? Yeah, okay, Indian conditions may demand a slightly lower cost product at a few places, but Indian manufacturers, if they are to compete with the Chinese companies or with the Japanese companies, they should get an equivalent product. So from 2015, we reversed the product development, and we introduced all the international products that we had built to the various manufacturers in the country. Today, we don't have a distinction at all. So we make the products that are reliable and consistent and high productivity, and we supply the same product to an international market and to an Indian market. So the story, it works in like both the ways. You have to develop, but then you also have to bring back like what the best methods and the best practices are to your home market.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering that.
So, adding on to that, we can say that the most important factor about it can be said as you have to balance between innovation and your best product as well. Like what fits the market correctly?
I mean, like there is a quote by like John Deere. How many of you have heard of the John Deere as a tractor company, as a tractor like agricultural equipment? So I like saw this quote like when I was in the John Deere like foundry in the US in 2018, and I like wrote it down and I made it a philosophy of the company. So he wrote in the 1930s when he made the first like tractors. He wrote, I will not put my name on a product that does not have the best in me. Yes, I will like repeat it. I will not put my name on a product that is not having the best in me. So this reflected a very deep commitment to try to do like better and better and better with what he's building. Yeah, and that is a commitment that then like we took. There were in the history of the company several compromise like products which we had developed. Like there is a story there in the book on how we took a decision to not to build those products like anymore. So like even though there was a market, even though there was a satisfied customer for that product, we said that okay, we don't believe in this being a very good product and we will not make it. So this kind of an introspection, and like this also needed a courage to take this like decision, you know, to say to the market that I will not do this business because yeah, you know it, because well I think that like this is not like developed with the best I mean with the best engineering that we are capable of. So it took some kind of a courage to say and to do that, but we have done that in the past few years.
Yeah, I'd also like to enlighten you guys that if I recall correctly, the machines that were built for the Chinese markets, the company members were so impressed that with the grindmasters machines obviously, that they even refused to buy from other German manufacturers as well. Like let's say European countries and other giants like Japan also. And even though the other manufacturers tried to even match the pricings of grindmasters, which were like multiple times lower than what the counterparts offered, and yet they choose grindmasters machines over those. So that speaks volumes about how specialized these machines they built are. Moving ahead, sir, many students dream of starting up their own ventures, if I believe correctly. How many of you want to start your own ventures? Myself included. Yeah. So, sir, from your family's experience, you are a second generation entrepreneur of your family, and you have seen the worst, I'd say the worst of industry, and currently, I guess the best of industry for startup culture right now. What are the 3 toughest parts of building a company from scratch, which most of the textbooks don't talk a lot about in these times? What is your opinion and your say on it?
So like honestly speaking, I am not the best person to answer this because I have not like started my own company. Yeah, like, but I have seen like my parents' journey and also my wife's journey as she like began her company in a development field. So from what I have seen is that coming out with an idea which you have a deep conviction and a passion about, to give at least a few years of your life while making the sacrifices which you do in terms of like you may get a corporate job, you have to leave that. So having an idea that you have the conviction to spend at least a few years of your life to develop is the first key challenge at the heart of it. Finding a low hanging fruit or finding a place where your idea can succeed first is a key like challenge as well. Like how the company will like build and sustain over the first few years, even like before, in my parents' time, like they had to think of the sustenance of the company for a large number of years. Today's time, you have to think of the sustenance of the company at least till a point where you get the first funding. Say, like you get like an angel funding or you get a venture funding, like at least until that point, say 2 years to 5 years, you have to think of how the business will like survive, like while you are still like developing a product, like what will you sell or how the revenue stream will be. I think like that is a challenge. The route which my parents took and also what my wife has taken in her venture with Carpe and EcoSattva has been to find a venture which is not requiring a lot of capital investment, but is requiring a lot of like technological and a thought and like an effort investment. So so those ventures, they work in a different way than a venture that needs a capital its investment. So like think about like what like type of a venture you are getting in, and then and then like work in that way.
Absolutely, sir. So we can summarize solidifying a concept first that can work in the industry well.
If you are not having the conviction on your concept, whatever you do, it may end up in being a zero.
Absolutely.
Like whereas, like see, if your concept is like such that you are so deeply like passionate about, matlab even after 8 years of work, if it like does not succeed, you should not have a regret about it. Like it should be something that is like so close to your heart and so closely passionate about ki 8 years later, if it like does not succeed, like you should be able to say ki I truly like believed in it and I gave it my full try.
Taking on from that, sir, I just want another thing to ask. How would, even in my case, I thought of some ventures, but what would be the key point in considering that, no, this is the right thing to do? Not even on the passion side, I'd say, but like, this is the thing worth pursuing at any cost. I should pursue. What was, as you said, machine high? That gave you the thrill of making, but what as a general entrepreneur should consider ki, this is the right thing I should pursue and it is worth pursuing? I mean, one of the principles that I try to like follow is that like let my heart like decide where it wants to go, but then like let my brain figure out how to go there. So keeping so like once you have identified what your like passionate point is, then you have to think about it in like very like methodical, like systematic ways, and let your brain
like let your mind like overcome any like emotional like biases or any kind of emotional thinking, like don't let that come into how you want to get there.
Okay.
Yeah, like so let the heart show you like where you want to go, but then like let the mind like figure out how to get there. So I see a lot of like entrepreneurs are either all heart or all mind, and it like doesn't work. You need to, so there are like certain its critical points. I say if you have to fail, then fail fast. So for example, I mean when we venture on a project that say we want to develop this kind of a technology, and like for so and so market, we try to do a proof of concept. We try to convince ourselves and to convince our its peer group that this idea is really is going to work. Now, like when we are in the its process of like doing that, you need to have a peer group who will give you a real honest feedback and opinion. If you have a peer group which will motivate you no matter what, it is a sure shot like recipe you will end up in a dead end. So have a peer group that is able to give you an honest like feedback, whether this thing is going to work or we think this is not going to work, and you are able to like debate like to and fro with. Yeah, like so that is a key part of it. Like when you do that, first it's proof of concept. Like when you do a first market survey, then like do it in a way that is an unbiased way, that is a rational way, and that is a logical way.
So let the passion lead you and let the mind figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
Insightful, sir. Yeah, from zero, sir, there is a policy about the company. 100 minus 1 is 0. What is your take on it and what's the story behind it?
We used to have like many like other various like organizations have. We used to have a quality like policy that was very long and elaborate, which even I don't remember. I don't expect any of our team members to have remembered the whole policy. But there was always this thing that my father used to say, 100 minus 1 equal to 0. 100 minus 1 equal to 0. So I said, let's make that our quality policy. So that's where the term got coined. Now, if you look like deeper into this 100 minus 1 equal to 0, I think the book has an entire chapter on it. But like what it essentially at its heart means is that when we are like building a machine, when we are building a machine solution, 100 things they need to go right for it to work. And it takes only a single thing to go wrong for it to not work. So that single thing which will go wrong can be as simple as an oil seal, which is, or it may be a washer, a small nut, a small bolt, which would hardly cost 2, 3, 5 rupees. But still, if it like goes wrong, the entire like machine will not work. So what it gives a direction is to get into the details, to get into the nitty-gritties. So this chapter, the 100 minus 1 equal to 0 chapter, it ends with a statement: the devil is in the details and so is God. So we truly like believe that we get into the details and we figure out every like nut and bolt, every piece, every like thing, every concept, every software code that is going into the machine, which will make it 100.
Sure, sir.
Sir, as we all know, breaking into the Chinese and Japanese market is widely seen as extremely challenging, especially for Indian manufacturers. What strategies or innovations helped Grindmaster succeed where others failed?
So I told the story about how we entered the Chinese market a little bit. Now I must say, and like this is contrary to the perceptions which a lot of Indians have, but the Chinese automotive market is a very developed market with a very sound manufacturing like engineers and technologists. To break into the Chinese automotive market, we got an opportunity about which I described, and we showed ourselves as a technology company. The Japanese and the Americans and the Europeans don't like to say that the Chinese are as good as them. Yeah, like similar to how they don't like to say that people from like this country are as good as them. So after we sold the machines into the Chinese like market, had well like established a brand, the Japanese and the North Americans and the Europeans, they still used to say that, okay, you may have succeeded in Mexico and China, but those are two developing countries. So it was like one stage harder, like one stage higher, like one level higher to succeed in the Japanese and European market. The Japanese market is also very culturally it's proud of Japanese its products. What certainly helped us, and the products which we did like succeed in those market were very specialized products, were very like niche products. So the technology developments and advancements into those products were not happening in Japan and in Germany. They were like that niche. Like here, I would like to tell a story about leapfrogging in a technology. So in 2003, like when we introduced the micro finishing machines for the crankshafts and the camshafts, we were playing a catch-up game. So the Germans and the Japanese and the North Americans had been building the micro finishing machines for the crankshafts since the 1970s. We had entered in 2003, so they had a 30-year head start. Like with efforts over a 14-15 year period, we were able to catch up and like build like similar or even better machines. However, certain advances in the manufacturing engineering, say to just give an example in hydraulics. So hydraulics, which you see in an earth mover, say a JCB or a SANY, an earth mover has like 15 to 20 hydraulic like cylinders. So these like cylinders have historically been warranted for maybe like 1 year. In 2015 to 2017, the requirement to warranty the cylinders for 5 years instead of 1 year, it came about. Now this is a new requirement which needs a new finishing technology. Now this finishing technology is not there with anybody in the world at that moment of time, because hydraulic cylinders have not been warranted for that 5-year span up to them. So technological advances like this, they give an opportunity to be the first in the world to do that. Now there is no catch-up game in this. It is like everybody is been like given the same challenge at the same point of time. The reason why we succeeded in Japan and in the US and in Canada was technologies like this, which didn't exist earlier, which needed to be developed afresh. Yeah, and which we were able to take the challenge to develop them, to put our like engineering like ability like on the line, to develop a technology to patent it, and then to bring it to the market. So a big reason for the successes we have had there is a leapfrogging in the technology and really giving a cutting edge, a global first technology which we are giving in these markets.
Sir, and one more question. Were there any specific cultural values or communication style that you had to adapt to in different countries?
Yes. Yes, but so I would say that as an Indian, our values or our communication is has been historically been has been a universal, I would say. So the fact is we know an English language, but we also know the conservative cultures that East Asia has. So in that way we are a universal fit, you can say. But at the same time, the language and the cultures in China, in Japan, in the US are different. I had lived in the US and in Europe, so I knew a little bit about those cultures. But in every region that we have been in, and we have supplied machines, we have had senior people who have been from that region to handhold us and to guide us and to advise us. So in Japan we have a 70-year-old Japanese who handholds us. I have written about him in the book. I have nicknamed him a Yoda. How many of you have seen the Star Wars? Yeah, a lot of you have seen the Star Wars. So there is this character like Yoda. He's a short guy, doesn't speak a lot, but whatever he speaks is wisdom. So we have a guy like that in Japan. We have a similar consultant and advisor in Germany, and a senior design advisor in the US. So we try to take help from these people, and we try to understand how to be a cultural fit. Cultural fit is very much important in building a trust. So you don't have to adopt the culture of the place. You must understand and appreciate the differences in the culture, and and demonstrate with your working that you that the cultural differences are not something that cannot be overcome, especially as we are building and engineering its product. So the cultural differences are surface differences, but they can be respected and appreciated.
Hello, sir. As you said earlier, and it is also mentioned in the book, that there's a belief in you and mainly Milind sir and Mohini ma'am, that building in India for us and for the world mainly. So was this belief ever challenged you by someone during your global journey, and how did you stay true to it?
I mean, see, this belief of make in India and make for the world, different people receive it in a different way. So in the developed world, there are certain people who have really been associated with an India. So the ones who have been here in the past 15, 18 years, maybe since the 90s, have a very different outlook towards this country. But there are various other people who have never been who don't know what India and for that matter what like China has become in the past like 30 years. So these people will have a very different outlook to what is a possibility or a capability here. Like what we have always like proactively done is to invite people whom we think have a doubt, that if you have a doubt, like please come and visit us and see us. I mean, like, so we like encourage like Europeans, Americans, like Chinese, East Asians to come here and really see on what the capabilities of this country are, what our capabilities are.
Definitely, sir. And sir, one more question. How did your internship at FANUC and also work experiences in Switzerland and other countries shape your understanding of industry, mainly in robotics? So how did microfinishing emerge as a focus?
So I got introduced to robotics at FANUC in 2005 in a summer like internship. Fortunately, in the system we had at an IIT Bombay, we used to get a 3-month period we used to get a 3-month break in between the 2 terms, and like so it gave a substantial time to do this internship. So this was a kind of a hello world to robotics. So there it grew a passion to do an engineering, to build machines. Like it was really the job I had in Switzerland, which was as a research and a development engineer, that gave a more it gave a more of an external perspective on how the machine tool world is, and like whether I want to be a part of it. It also set like very high standards. So like one of the things which we always have a challenge as an Indian like innovator is that in the manufacturing industry, the Indian standards are sometimes not like sufficiently high. So I was introduced to the Swiss standards, and then it set a level of expectation. A level of expectations from the design and engineering that I do, or a level of expectation from the team that I work with, a level of expectation from like myself. So that is a very good, that I think is the most important learning that I brought back. That you cannot strive for excellence unless you have high expectations. Yeah. So you need to set your expectations high, and only then you will be able to strive towards them.
Thank you, sir. And
so you asked a second question, how the micro finishing and super finishing it became a focus. So up till the 1990s, a grindmaster was doing finishing of cookware, of tubes and bars. Yeah, and while the polishing and the finishing was an important operation for these, it was not a mission critical operation, you know. If you have a pot, like you want the pot to look good, or you want the silencer of your motorbike to look good, but if it's not looking good, if it has a few scratches on it, it's not going to like stop the bike. It's not going to like fail the pressure cooker. In the late 1990s, the Indian automotive industry was going through a quality transformation. You may not remember, you may not have had a bike at that time, but the motorbikes or the cars in the 90s used to fail a lot more often than they do now. They used to come with all sorts of rules. गाड़ी के तो रूल्स मुझे मालूम है कि फर्स्ट 1000 किलोमीटर 50 किलोमीटर एन आवर से ऊपर नहीं जाने का, देन 1000 किलोमीटर होने के बाद इंजन का ऑयल बदली करने का. So these were all the rules that were in the 90s. like today you buy a car or a bike, none of them they come out with like such kind of a restriction. So the Indian automotive industry, in its like reliability and its performance, it like went through a huge like transformation between say the 1995 to about 2015. Like those like 20 years there was a sea of change. So this change gave an opportunity to do more and more micro finishing and a super finishing. Micro finishing and super finishing were the mission critical operations, which वो जो गाड़ी के जो दो मैंने एक limitations बताया 1000 किलोमीटर के जो 2 rules थे, those 2 rules had to be scrapped like only because the micro finishing operation was done on the cranks and the cams and the gearbox parts. So it gave an opportunity to do a mission critical operation. The value of a machine that is used for a mission critical operation is also more. It's a technological relevance is more. We are able to put in like more sophisticated technologies into these machines. So the micro finishing and super finishing, it emerged out of that as a requirement. And today 95% of our business is like based on like mission critical requirements. So the company in those years, it went through a transformation from being a company that polishes things that will look good to finishing things that will fail if that finishing is not done. So that was a big change in that period.
So you said that garage is not a place but a mindset, and so goes for the global thing, but it is global now, and grindmaster machines now compete with the world's best. What mindset shift was needed within the team, sir, to move from made in India to the best in the world?
It is a huge like change in the mindset. The first change is see in our country, like because of a lot of history, we have a little bit of an inferiority complex. Yeah, and this inferiority complex and a lower expectation out of ourselves, it like restricts the team from doing their best. So it like needs to come, we need to break free from this mindset. Like that's the first thing. The level of details that the team it needs to look at is at a different scale. So the team, it needs to understand that the level of the working that we were doing to satisfy a certain customer base or a certain market, we need to elevate ourselves like out of that. It is also a matter of the vision and a mission and explaining the vision and a mission to the team. So like most of the companies have a mission statement that has a turnover figure or has a revenue figure and so on. Like we didn't have like any of that. So our mission statement was to be the world's best in the technology. So that like meant that our like machines became like finer and finer, like had more details covered, had more like refinements in the technology. So that it needs a different approach and a mindset from the whole team. And we have worked over the past 8 to 10 years to build that, to develop that like mindset, like what I call as a global mindset to build machines. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So there it is, grindmaster from the man himself, Mr. Samir Kelkar. Now I'd like to hand over the stage to Simran ma'am.
Thank you, Samir sir, students team, for such an engaging and thought-provoking session. Samir sir, it's a kind request. If anything you want to share with students which you think are not covered in the questions, we request you to please share your insights.
I think that its question and answer had like multiple its perspectives.
Yes.
There were a lot of things I shared with the machine tool builders or where I shared with our team in an earlier an event, but I think the questions for the students what had been asked were very relevant questions.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, one of the things which concerns me a little bit is that none of the students asked anything about the sustainability. Yeah, and it concerns me that the students are not thinking about the sustainability. Yeah, so that is like something that I would like to speak about, like because as an engineer, I had spoken at an Engineers Day event a couple of years ago. As like engineers, we have been responsible also for creating a lot of devices which have made our planet unsustainable, and we are also responsible to figure out methods and ways to make the planet again come in the sustainability, again within the donut of sustainability. So I would like to urge every student here, every faculty member here to not to think of a sustainability as an addition. Yeah, like we at a Grindmaster have taken the sustainability as a core value. As a core value, we built it into everything that we do. So like I would like to ask like all of you to build that sustainability as a core value, and environmental and sustainability goals as your like personal goals, like apart from there being a company goal or you know, like an institutional goal. So that is, I think, like something that we should all give a thought to.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I now announce the floor is open for students and faculty members. If you have any questions, please. Any questions from students? Yes, yes.
Good afternoon, sir. What is Grindmaster's perspective for the future? And what is the company actively doing to keep up with the current trends that is going on right now?
So we have a vision to be a global technology leader. But like, what does this mean? What does this mean? It really means that we have to be able to set a global like benchmark in a technology within the developing countries as well as the developed countries, that we have to become a trusted partner equally in the developed countries as we are in the developing countries. So I coined a phrase to like, you know, to express this. आपण मराठीत म्हणतो ना एक जगात भारी. Yeah, we say that word a lot. We say it from a samosa to a milkshake to anything, but it really means universally awesome. So we took that like Jagat Bhari as a mission, and you will see it as a mission statement in our company. Mission like Jagat Bhari. So like that is an aspiration towards which we are working. Now, how we get there? There are like multiple aspects. A key part of it is a research and development. So for example, we have about like 10% of our team members are into research and development activities. And we have a significant collaborative and approach with an IIT Madras, with some of the foreign partners, like towards doing a research and development. So that is at the heart of like becoming like becoming a technology a leader worldwide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. As a R&D head, what do you expect from us as a design engineer?
See, first of all, I expect everybody in the company to be a machine engineer. So it is also written in my book that we recruit engineers. They come from different departments, as a mechanical or an electrical or a computer science. The first half a year we spend in explaining to them that you are first and foremost a machine engineer. After that you are a more specialized engineer. So that is a first key part. Design engineers in the machine domain have a challenging work. I mean, if you look at a micro finishing machine, how many parts does a car have?
Lot of, sir.
Yeah, but how many? A guess? How many? 1,000, 5,000, 500?
More than, sir. More than 1,000, sir.
Yeah, it's about 1,000 parts.
Yes.
Yeah, it's close to 1,000 parts, and when you make a car, it goes through multiple its prototypes and versions and refinements. Now, when you build a machine, say a crankshaft micro finishing machine, it has about 2,500 parts. Yeah, and this 2,500 part machine has about 1,500 parts that are new and are designed for that machine. Yeah, and we don't have a chance of building a prototype and then building a new prototype. The first a machine with that, its customization has to work. So as a design engineer, it is extremely challenging to design meticulously all those parts in a correct way. I think a design engineering, on whether it is on a mechanical side or on an electrical and a fluid side, is one of the most difficult and challenging jobs in a machine tool industry.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. This is Javed Siddiqui, the head of Department for Mechanical Engineering. We heard you as the CEO and head of research and development at Grindmaster Machines Private Limited. But apart from that, you're also the director of the EcoSattva Environmental Solution Private Limited. So if you please brief about that EcoSattva.
So EcoSattva is, you can call it a startup. It's about 10 years old. We celebrated its 10th year a couple of weeks ago. So its EcoSattva is doing solving environmental challenges in the cities. It's doing work in afforestation. It is doing work in solid waste management. It's now well known for the Kham River rejuvenation. Its project, which has won awards in New York and Scotland, and has featured in several international publications. So this EcoSattva was formed mainly by my wife Natasha Zareen and her partner Gauri Mirashi. I have been on an advisory kind of a role in this company since it was formed. Though I don't run the day-to-day its operations, there is one aspect of the company that I run myself. Yeah, and that is a research fellowship which we have started about 7 years ago for a research work in wildlife conservation. And this is a subject which is very close to my heart, and we have so far supported about 26 fellows from all over the country doing research on diverse topics, from tigers to Sicilian species that are in the northeast, to to a rare flower that had gone into an extinction and has been brought back by our fellow in Kashmir. So we have been funding. I have been very happy part of my year is to go and see the fellows in the different locations that they are in the country, like doing a research in wildlife conservation.
Thank you. And sir, one more question what I have. As MGM University is offering various programs in the field of robotics and automation, or the robotics in artificial intelligence, and as the Grand Master is specialized in the field of robotics, so what is the global supply and demand of the robotic engineer, and what are the opportunities for our students in the field, in your language, at garage level and at global level?
I mean, do you know the figures of how many industrial robots were consumed in China in the last year? So it was about like 75,000. Yeah, and how many were consumed in our country in the last year? 5,000. Yeah, now you can look at this a difference between a 5,000 and a 75,000 as a huge an opportunity. Yeah. So the robotics field, and was talking about industrial robots. The development of robotics and artificial intelligence, but I'll more specifically talk about the robotics. Is like something that is going to transform our world in the next like 15 to 20 years. So it is like definitely a field with a lot of like areas, like certain countries like China or Korea or Japan have taken a lot of steps in robotics, like much faster, also like because of a demographic reason. So both in China and in Japan, they do have a problem with a very fast aging population. China had a one-child norm for almost like 30 years, and now they don't have children to take care of their parents. So they have to look for a technological solutions to a very fast aging population. Like we have to do this in our own context, in our own way, something that will suit our cultural and our national requirements.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I would like to ask one question. At Grandmaster, what are the opportunity for our students, means robotic engineers?
I think our campus drive here in December every year, I think like answers that question. Yeah, like we do recruit like engineers every year. We need like very strong engineers. Like one thing that I will say is that in manufacturing engineering, like in general, or in any kind of engineering field, the first and foremost thing we look for is a good like engineering background. So though there is a lot of talk about a soft science and like management skills for engineers and all that, when you are doing your BE and a BTech, please remain focused and get your basics in engineering strong. Like later on, like you can learn various like other things, but like as a part of your BE and the BTech courses, like do a very strong job in learning the basics.
We'll take one last question from this side. I've seen someone raise their hand. Yes.
Hello, myself Lobasantarane. My question to you, sir, is that what advice would you like to give to startups for going global like Grandmasters?
See, the startups, the first and the foremost thing you need to go global is to have a product or have a technology which will be globally acceptable. Yeah, and which will be globally relevant. So it's not like necessary for every like startup to think that it should go global, or what the global scenario means is different for different like startups. So they have to think in that terms. I'll give you like just a short example. The solutions which like EcoSattva is like solving in the cities here, the solutions on afforestation or solid waste management or like the river rejuvenation, this is not a problem to be solved in the developed world in general, because they have already like solved this problem about 30 to 35 years ago. Now this a problem or the solution that they have for this problem is of a relevance in the developing world. So to go global for them would mean something completely different than it would mean to a startup, to a machine manufacturer like us, who is wanting to sell the machines to the manufacturing industry. So you have to think of the relevance of the startups in a global context. It is not like mandatory for all startups to go global or like want to go global, but it is like what a startup must like definitely like think is of an excellence in like whichever field it is that they are, like working on. Like what a lot of the startups like sometimes end up in like missing the point is, and this it particularly happens when a lot of financial investments they start to take a priority, is the purpose. Like so in a typically in a conventional business, the purpose does not dilute as fast, because the founders are the management for a substantial time and then they choose the successors and so on. In a startup, a risk is that what you have like begun with a certain aim or an objective in mind goes in a completely different like direction and like loses the purpose with which originally it was founded for. So this is like something that a founder has to take care that his like legacy, not only in terms of the finances, his main like legacy is the purpose and the concept. He has to take care that his legacy is being carried forward with that aim. Money and finances, they should not be prevalent over the main goal or the purpose of having founded that company or that organization.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Ashish Gadekar, sir, for the concluding remarks.
Thank you, Simran. Samir, thank you once again for being here. Great round of applause for Samir for his candid. With him, with him we should also applaud, we should applaud the efforts of all the students who have meticulously devised these questions for him. It's not easy to come here and sit and ask questions to different people here, different personalities, especially someone who is a core engineer like Samir here. So big round of applause for these students as well who got the courage to be here as well. Samir and I go back a long time. Before this, there will be another session if I go about just about how I know Samir. But way back in 2013-14, around that time, when I was cycling around, people came to know that I cycle a lot. And then whenever they used to speak about someone, they would talk about Samir. You should meet this guy. There's one crazy guy who's great at what he's doing, but he goes about all the mountains, he goes about the trekking, hiking and whatnot, you should meet him. And as the universe conspires, we met at some occasion and at some time, and then, I told him that, I kept hearing about you a lot. From that day till now, 12 years down, he's in the same attire. Even now, if you have noticed, he's wearing the outfit which can take him to the trekking or whatever he would want to. He has made a conscious decision that he would put these clothes on. You should thank him that he's not in shorts today, otherwise he would have been coming in shorts as well.
But we also made a uniform in the company to have the t-shirt, a track pant and a vest. I think one of our team members is wearing that. So it's a comfortable and attire, it's.
So yeah, so he's actually into hiking, hiking outfit even now.
Yeah.
What we have seen today and through his book is, and what I have personally experienced, is Samir is one engineer or an individual who values the journey and focuses on the goals, while not losing focus on the goals. I think that is apparent in everything that he has very candidly told us about in his book and his personal experience. I would say just one thing. I used to see him when we had gone on the rides. He used to carry 2 bottles of water. And as a newbie, I would carry just 1 bottle. And by the time we would cover 25% of the distance, I would finish half the bottle, but this person was not even touching that bottle till that time. He would just take a few sips. And by the end of the journey, that water was still with him. And I would try to fetch from around, but I would see how he would manage. That is how he had calculated his resources, how much resources he had even then. And I think even in business today, he gave us a lot of business lessons. Even being a hardcore engineer, he had given us lessons which I actually wrote down to my knowledge as well. So that one piece of knowledge that he gave was about being valuing the journey, and that's what if you travel, you should value the journey, and of course you will get to the focus to the mountains. He also gave us a lesson on the mutual respect that generations have. Most of you are coming as 2nd or 3rd generation of families who would enter in some or the other business. It's very important for generations to respect, have a mutual respect, like he had mentioned in his book as well. There are a lot of conflicts, but conflicts arise because there is a gap in how much you have seen the world against the one who is more experienced. So from experience, you also have that mutual respect. He told us about the courage to take hard decisions. So being in a core engineering, one thing that most of us have missed or not talked about is his industry within itself. If you are from manufacturing industry, there are 3 types of basic manufacturing. One is like a job shop, which is like a project-based manufacturing. The other one is a batch type, and the other one is mass production, continuous production, and whatnot. That Samir's industry, his family is not into mass production. They are not into making large quantities. They are not into economies of scale, but they are focused into projects, which is more, if I'm not wrong, Samir, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I see is that each machine that they build is different from the other. And it's extremely challenging. Like he mentioned, there are 2,500 parts go into one machine, 1,500 are new, and they have to do it over and over again and see how much engineering excellence they require. And they do not only have that engineering excellence for the masses industry over here, but they are doing it for the industry outside. So that itself is a big learning for us. What they are into is not an easy job. Most of the industries that you see in Aurangabad, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar is, they are into mass production, but they have into this. He spoke about culture and global fit, likewise. Leapfrogging into technologies because of which they could actually compete with the players. And a lot of things that he's doing simultaneously, like focusing on sustainability. Good he touched upon that, because that's one important goal that we are going through this. In the coming 5-10 years, we have the vision of going towards SDGs. And we are very proud that this year we have collaborated with EcoSattva. They have already done a fantastic job, but EcoSattva and MGM University has a collaboration. That collaboration is just not on papers. We have actually started working with the team visiting, but I'm mentioning this to you because you can all be a part of this. Whether we have a collaboration or not, being a part of this town, you are a responsible citizen. And through this channel, we can, of course, lend a hand and do a lot. So, lot of lessons, but I'm glad that Samir took his time out, not only to come here, but also to write this book, because this book, like Kaur Madam has said, that it's like a manual for most of our startups, for engineers to go ahead. And I hope that everyone gets a hand on this book. It is available on Amazon as well. I would definitely want you to go through it, and it will be a learning experience and for us as well. Thank you once again. I thank Honorable Chancellor Sir, who had, I'm sure he had a few things to say. That's why I've made my stride towards him, but then he'll give his thoughts to Samir some other time. Thank you for your presence, Honorable Chancellor Shri Ankush Rauji Kadam Sir, all the faculty, staff who had been here. I'm sure we'll take this forward. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. As we have come to the conclusion of this wonderful event, I take this opportunity to express my gratitude. First and foremost, my sincere thanks to Honorable Chancellor Shri Ankush Rao Kadam Sir for his continuous support and leadership. A special note of appreciation to Dr. Ashish Gadekar Sir, Dr. H.H. Shinde Sir, Dr. Parminder Kaur Ma'am, for your support and dedication towards fostering excellence. My heartfelt thank you to our distinguished guest, Mr. Samir Kelkar Sir, for gracing this event and inspiring us with his wisdom and experiences. My deepest gratitude also goes to the faculty members, organizing team, and our enthusiastic students whose collective efforts have made this event a grand success. With this, we formally conclude today's gathering. Thank you all for your presence and participation. Have a wonderful day ahead.